week, the cosmetic surgery industry is worth a massive $2.3 billion, with 43,000 people opting to enhance their bodies each year.
Amongst those is Alicia Duvall, whose obsession with surgical procedures has been well documented in the press.
She hit the celebrity scene over a decade ago, making headlines with her kiss and tell stories. But soon it was Alicia's body making the news, as the former model repeatedly went under the surgeon's knife. After having work done quite literally from head to toe, she sought help for what had now become a dangerous addiction. Over 350 operations later and over £1 million poorer, she says excessive surgeries destroyed her life. But just last week, these shocking pictures emerged. This time, however, she was reversing the procedures which had left her face so full of fillers she couldn't even smile at her daughter.
Well, Alicia joins us now along with cosmetic surgeon Angelica Kavouni, so welcome both.
Welcome.
Lovely to see you. You said you've lost your looks and it's ruined your life. You lost your 20s. You were either preparing for, having or recovering from surgery.
Yeah, that's right.
Where did it start?
Well, I was 17 when I had my first operation, which was breast operation, and then it kind of spiraled out from there. I had that operation, and then the surgeon recommended that I had my nose done, and after that I wanted to have another boob job. And
well, you say you've been quite honest that some of it stems back, and we've heard it so many times, you know, that you can trace it back to things that happened in your childhood, that you had something of an unhappy childhood, in your words, I think you've said, and that you didn't feel pretty. You had this problem with your body.
Yeah, I didn't feel. I was brought up to believe that, you know, I was unfortunate looking, and I didn't have the confidence. I didn't feel good about myself, and I saw surgery as the answer to everything. I saw it as, that's going to make me happy, that's going to turn me from being this average, normal girl that's not much of an achiever to this successful, blonde,
but then you
beautiful supermodel.
At those pictures when you were 17, look back at those now and you say, I'd give anything to have her back. I wouldn't have changed what she looked like.
Yeah, I look back and I realised that there was nothing wrong with me. I was a normal-looking girl. I was probably attractive, didn't have any features that stood out that made me look particularly ugly.
So these procedures, we just said there, you had 350 of them, and obviously you've had to pay for these, and you've spent over £1 million on this, and you've got 2 children, and you say sometimes at the detriment to your lifestyle, all your money went on these procedures. Yeah,
I mean, plastic surgery became an addiction, obsession, whatever you want to call it. I literally did eat baked beans on toast, and I had nothing else. I saved up every penny I had. I worked just to pay for surgery.
And you'd also get other people to pay for the surgery if you could. Relationships that you had.
Exactly. I'd convince boyfriends and that, you know, this would be it. If I have this surgery, then and I'd convince, you know, whoever I could, and get the money. I mean, you must whichever way.
Pretty convincing, because did anyone over the years that you've been doing this ever say to you, just stop, like enough is enough now? Did anyone ever question you whether or not you might have an issue with surgery?
Yeah, of course. People always questioned me, and people were very upset, you know, family and friends, when they saw me going through surgery after surgery. But at that point, I wasn't going to stop, and I'd lie to get the money. I'd do whatever it took to get the money, like an addict, a drug addict would.
Well, you say that you haven't had a holiday, you've spent everything on surgery, your daughter begged you to stop. You said that the one thing that you wished you hadn't done, you took Georgia out of a GCSE exam to babysit your other daughter so that you could go and have surgery.
Yeah.
You know, all of that is heartbreaking to look back at. What do you see when you look in the mirror now?
When I look back in the mirror, I'm angry with the surgeons that have made me, that have done this to me. I wish when I was 17 that they offered me counselling.
Did you tell them you were 17, or did you? Because there are reports that said you lied about your age, so they didn't know how old you were.
No, I lied about my age, but still, I was a young girl. I didn't need surgery. They didn't need to put me on that path. They could have said to me, you know what, you need counselling.
But isn't there also, and that right the way through the years, and I'm only playing devil's advocate here, right the way through the years, when you've gone to a surgeon and said, I want this done, that they would know that if you didn't go to that surgeon, and it's an industry, you know, there's money involved, if you didn't go to that surgeon and if he said no, you'd just go to someone else.
Yeah, which is true, which is what I did do in many cases. But why was I never offered counselling? Why did no one turn around and say, you know what, I'll give you the surgery, but first, go and have some counselling?
You did eventually go and get counselling. You went into rehab for this, and there's lots of people that don't necessarily recognise this as an addiction.
Yeah.
How? I mean, does this happen a lot? I mean, when you went and got the treatment for it, is it more common than we realise?
No, I was the first person to go into rehab for that particular rehab place for plastic surgery, and I was very embarrassed because I was there with heroin addicts and alcoholics and drug addicts, and there was me with plastic surgery addiction. But they treated me like they would, like an alcoholic or drug addict, and they treated it as a serious matter, the same as they did with the others, because the thing is with plastic surgery, you know, you're playing with people's faces and you're damaging their looks, and if people rely on their looks, and you know, I was a model, my looks were everything to me, and damaging my face. Yeah, but damaging my face, someone with not a strong character, you know, there's been so many instances of people taking their own lives because they can't wake up, they can't live anymore like that. And I've been through that stage. I've felt like, you know what, I can't take anymore, I can't live like this.
Angelica, if she walked into your surgery and asked you to perform any sort of procedure, at what stage would you have said no?
Well, it is very clear that Alicia has had a number of procedures, and there is no doubt that a surgeon has to make sure that the patient is having surgery for the right motives. It's not always easy to find out how many procedures a patient has had. You can say perhaps they had one breast augmentation, but they don't always when they do the information, they don't give you all the information about the past medical history. And quite often they say, please do not contact my GP. So there are two arguments here.
So should it be much tighter in its regulation?
There has to be a lot more regulation. At the moment, I have no doubt that the majority of plastic surgeons do pick up most of the telltale signs if there is an element of dysmorphia, and there is a very strict code of ethics from BAPS and BAPRAS that we have to refer patients to psychologists, and we work closely with a number of psychologists, and you know, I'm very sorry that that was not your case.
I mean, the last surgeon that I went to was very responsible. They sent me for psychiatric assessment. I had counselling surrounding it, and you know, they did a great job. They took out the implants, and
that's the surgery you had a week and a half ago
recently,
that we saw the pictures in the press. So this is to remove the fillers that have been built up under your skin.
Implants. I had implants into my cheeks, nose, chin, under my nose, weird implants, and I've had a major nerve that's been cut. So half my face doesn't work.
Isn't there a sales pressure here? It is an industry. People make their living.
You're absolutely right.
Most I'm generalising massively, but most plastic surgeons seem to have big houses and beautiful cars. You know, so all of that has to be funded.
It's a billion-dollar industry.
By the money of people who go in to have a job done.
It is an industry, and there are a lot of commercial practices as well. There are a lot of big clinics, for example, that you have a surgeon that flies in the morning, does the operations, and flies out in the evening to a different country, and there is no continuity of care and so on. There are a lot of elements that need to be looked at. There's a lot of advertising that is totally inappropriate. Cosmetic surgery is not anymore medicine. It's business, and big business, and we have to pay VAT on it.
And we're not talking about something that would change your life here, that is a cosmetic surgery because of a disfigurement in some way, or correcting someone because that would enhance their life. But you would say, what about your daughter? Would you allow them to have plastic surgery?
No,
how would you talk them out
now.
of it?
If they came to me and asked for surgery, then I'd say to them, you know, I'd ask what's wrong, and I'd find out. I'd work on their insides and tell them how they are. They're beautiful. They're young. They're beautiful just as they are.
You get some parents, we've had them on here, who say, for my daughter, I'm going to buy her a boob job for 80th birthday. What do you say?
I'd say no, give them counselling. If you've got the spare cash, give them counselling and work on the inside and tell them how beautiful and you know, youth is beautiful as in itself.
All right, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you very much.